everyone, and welcome back to the second day of the Times of India Literary Carnival 2013. This wonderful event that seeks to bring together Mumbai's passions into the literary space. As you can see, we have carefully selected authors, filmmakers, lyricists, gourmands, and musicians to be part of a festival that represents all of Mumbai's abiding and eclectic interests. This year's theme is especially pertinent: romance, love, and violence, for we have been getting reminders of these strange bedfellows with chilling regularity. An abiding feature of a 3-year-old Lit Fest is The Wall. This year, it features iconic and rare stills and posters from cinema which resonate with a theme of romance, love, and violence. The Times of India, which hosts the festival, has always sought to bring alive contemporary culture and marry it with its rich historical past. It is the world's largest circulating broadsheet with a daily circulation of over 4.5 million. This year is special because it marks the paper's 175th jubilee, and our literary carnival doffs its hat to it in several ways. Let's begin the festival today with a keynote on Coffee with Romance, where we have Karan Johar as also Anuja Chauhan. May I request Ms. Chauhan to come on the stage as well? Sorry, didn't see you right behind me. Karan Johar, as we all already might know, is an Indian film director, producer, screenwriter, costume designer, actor, and television host. He is the head of the production company Dharma Productions. He is most known for directing and producing some of Hindi cinema's highest grossing films in India and abroad. He is the host of the celebrity-based chat show Coffee with Karan. Mr. Johar, thank you for being here with us today. We also have with us Anuja Chauhan, a Gurgaon-based novelist, ad woman, and screenwriter. Her 3 novels, The Zoya Factor, Battle for Bitora, and Those Pricey Thakur Girls, were and continue to be national bestsellers. She keeps her deadline muscle toned by writing a regular column, Schizonation, for The Week magazine. Currently, she is working on a commissioned screenplay for the Anil Kapoor Film Company, editing an anthology of romantic fiction, and writing the sequel to a 3rd novel titled The House That B.J. Built. Ms. Chauhan, thank you for being here. May I request you to continue the keynote from here, please?
Hi everybody, good morning. I've been given a very redundant task this morning, which is to introduce Karan. And so I suppose I should say a little something before I just hand over to him. Ever since he burst into our lives as Shah Rukh Khan's scruffy friend who wanted to go beer drinking and driving, Karan Johar has been unignorable. He has defined the way we woo and what we wear while we're doing our wooing. His movies, defined as romances, have for me always been a study of characters, all of whom, from Mrs. Briganza, to the pink-shirted and trouble-stirring principal in Student of the Year, are etched out with the greatest of nuance and so much affection. He has taught us, way back in the 90s, that a grandmother can address a granddaughter can address a grandmother as sexy, that a fat little boy can grow up into a handsome young man. He has given us the sweetest Jijaji and Sali relationship that I've ever seen on screen, and he has most recently given us the evocative and super fun visual image of Radha on the dance floor. And of course, he has just confirmed for us what we suspected was true all along, that Salman Khan is really still a virgin. All this and the romance. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great personal excitement and anticipation that I give you Karan Johar.
Good morning, and I'm really happy to be here this extremely early morning. Wherever Bachi is, I asked her the first thing when I got here is that why did she do this to me? 10 a.m. in the morning is very early for me. And I'd like to begin by going on record and saying that I'm a virgin as well. So talking about romance, talking about love, obviously is mostly unrequited. For me, I think I could be the brand ambassador of unrequited love, because invariably when I fall in love, I don't get that love back in return. And my heartbreak is very often very Hindi filmy, and I hear two of my favorite Hindi film songs, both of which were in my short film in Bombay Talkies, Lag Ja Gale and Ajeeb Dastan Hai Ye. Those are my heartbreak songs. I'm going to attempt running you through romance in Hindi cinema the way I know it, the way I perceived it, and the way I've probably understood it. It will be mildly academic, but I promise to make the Q&A after that a lot more fun. I just thought for all of you very literary minds, it might be a little interesting for you to observe the journey that romance took in Hindi cinema, Indian cinema. So let me start. I'm going to start with the first word that I actually completely oppose, which is Bollywood, but then the Queen sectioned it in the Oxford Dictionary, so we'll have to live with it. We've been dumped with it by the Queen. So Bollywood it is then. So Bollywood is an ever-evolving entity, a beast without shackles that mutates and grows every day. But the one constant that has remained from the ages of Devika Rani to Dilip Kumar to Amitabh Bachchan and now to Ranbir Kapoor is the love that we profess through our stories. What is morphed time and again in ways supposedly reflective of society, but more really of the censor boards of the time, is the depiction of romance. Romance in Indian cinema started even before the hero and heroine could speak. The silent films of the early 1900s like Bilat Ferat interpreted love as a reflection of reality and scandalized Indian audiences with their stark, intense portrayal of passion. Soon after this came along Devika Rani, the original dream girl of Indian cinema, who with her European education and husband Himanshu Rai proceeded to create much controversy with sensual love scenes in movies like Karma and Achut Kanya. Then of course came the age of the shy hero, the age of the touch-me-not romance, the quiet introverted lover singing to his lady love, sometimes separated by distance, often separated by parents, and occasionally separated by social status. This was the age of the tremulous glances, the accidental touches, leading to unspoken, unarticulated romance. In glaring contrast to Dilip Kumar's quiet romancing was the dazzling, daring and dynamic romance of Raj Kapoor. Full of bold pizzazz, he clutched tightly to his lady love and sang passionately to her. A love that was beautiful, sexy and often very physical. And then suddenly, audacious desire was replaced by antics. An exuberant hero somersaulted in mountains and did jumping jacks in gardens, while his heroine coyly ran around trees, indicating very much that she would like nothing more than to be caught. Unfortunately, the censor would allow no such thing. The poor hero and heroine, restricted by the censor board's vigilance, presumably vented their romantic frustrations by exercising while singing to their beloved. Flowers fluttered together, birds nestled against each other, and sometimes even clouds shrouded together, but the lovers never touched. The natural progression of such a scenario was to create distraction from their underlying desires, and the hero and heroine were soon joined by 20-30 people who showed up from absolutely nowhere to join them in the celebration of their romance. Always, of course, singing in chorus. When these movies and antics gained success, the producers, like me, went berserk. Now hundreds of people showed up in matching costumes, dancing in synchronization, while the hero sang to his heroine from a safe distance. The audience was entertained and the censor boards then were very happy. Soon after this, the locations got even more scenic. The hero and heroine reached seemingly impossible locations to sing about their sweethearts. The hero waxed poetic and mostly sometimes unpoetic. The wind billowing in his hair, sweater neatly tied on his shoulders, while the women battled hypothermia in chiffon saris. And then Bollywood, as we know it, forgot romance. An offshoot from the time of the romantic hero was the age of the angry young man, where romantic confections made way for more gritty, violent films. Amitabh Bachchan glared, fought, sought vengeance and retribution to defend, avenge, or manipulate. Sure, there was love, of course there was love, but the action hero had largely replaced the romantic one. Soon after that, there was the 80s, which I will skip over because I believe it was the worst period of mainstream cinema. But there were some kitchen utensils also that arrived in song sequences. Pots, pans, ghadas, those kind of things. Tha thaiya, ho, that. I could say tum tanana also, but then I would start dancing knowing me. And that is not a good idea. Now, Suraj Barjatia entered the scene right after, and with a flourish, I might add. With families singing in chorus now, behind the couple and choreographed dance numbers involving everyone from the Dada Dadi to the hero's pet dog, family love had arrived in a grand fashion. The hero and heroine romanced against a backdrop of the quintessential joint Indian family, replete with cunning aunts, hapless uncles, and sweet younger sisters. The Indian audiences connected with this prem in a big way, and like I always say, it's all about loving the family. After Prem's family, it was time for Raj's flirtatious, whimsical rom-com age. Raj and his feisty heroine brought with them the return of the big-budget romance. Although some films in that time made the cut for neither rom nor com, yellow mustard fields, singing on slopes of the Swiss Alps, and all things mushy were now officially back in fashion. And then once again, romance took a backseat for the urban hero's existential crisis. Indian cinema broke away from melodramatic tales of love and began to explore different territories, backed by the growth of the multiplex audience. While directors all over obsessed over the identity of the hero and experimented with every possible element of human emotion, romance fell behind in a line of self-discovery, national pride, and social responsibility. Now that the hero had identified himself, his problems, his limitations, and distractions, he was now again ready for romance. The millennial hero, which is what we know today, is slowly evolving from the suave, moneyed NRI of rhyming wisecracks to the rugged, rural, sexy, almost raunchy lover who wears his heart on his sleeve and a boisterous romance on his lips. His lady love is neither dainty nor simpering, nor interested in coyly sharing glances and shy smiles. This girl now has had her lovers, her heartbreaks, and isn't ready in Mr. Right, but is ready for Mr. Right now. The edgy romance of the commitment phobes and been there, done that couples is the flavor of the season. From Band Baja Barat to Shuddh Desi romance, from Aditya and Shraddha's powerful love story in Ashiki to Ram and Leela's lustful romance is back. And this time it's impatient, aggressive, and unabashed. Romance in Bollywood turned from bold to coy and back to racy and bold. Indian audiences, therefore, are aspirational. They want Amitabh Bachchan's swagger, they want Shah Rukh Khan's charm, and they want to see love they see on celluloid. Indians, like most of us, are in love with love. We're obsessed with love and drunk on the ideas of romance we see in movies we watch. So much of our real-life expectations of love and romance are influenced. In fact, based on what we see in Hindi cinema, that even today when I meet someone attractive, having been fed the romance of the 80s and the 90s, I do hear violence. Time slows down and the person spins towards me in slow motion and high speed while an inexplicable wind blows through my hair. Perhaps the later generations will design their idea of love on what they see today and expect their beloved to show up under their building and demand a relationship. Romance is a non-transferable element of Indian cinema. Whether the flavor of the season is action or comedy, there's always a little time for romance. Thank you.
We can now take some questions from the audience. Whoever's interested, just raise your hands. There'll be a mic being passed around. Let's make the questions a little brief and questions and not just observations. Thank you.
Hi, Karan. I was wondering what happened to her. Can we go with the lady first? She stood up right in front of me. Thank you. Yes.
My question is, do you think can a Bollywood movie or Hindi movie can work?
Sorry?
Do you think can a Hindi movie or Bollywood movie can work if it does not have a love story in it?
A bolder film can work if it doesn't have a?
A Bollywood movie.
A Bollywood movie,
can work with the audience if it does not have a love story in it?
there have been several actually that have worked without really a predominant love story in it. Most often, I think love is a very loved theme. You know, most of the big hits of mainstream Indian cinema have had love as the backdrop. But there have been iconic blockbusters like Sholay or Mother India, Mughal-e-Azam, you know, other kind of content recently like Kahani and, you know, films like Tare Zameen Par. And there's so many examples of movies that have been celebrated, successful, and have gone on to kind of even woo the box office that haven't had predominant love themes in it. So yes, to answer your question, love may not be the main prerequisite, but it's definitely a popular one.
Hi, Karan.
Hi.
This is, the question is on a personal note for you. Your father was a very, very loved person in the industry, and he left a legacy where even today in a fickle-minded industry, everybody speaks very, very highly of him. Do you consciously carry on the legacy that even today, even about you, you don't get to hear necessarily very bad things, and you're a friend of everybody's in the industry?
I'm sorry?
You're a friend with everybody in the industry. Is it a conscious effort? Or just a mere extension of the legacy of your father's?
Well, I think that I did inherit his goodwill, and living up to what his legacy is something that is always at the topmost of my head. He had a certain way of running Dharma Productions. He had certain theories that he wanted me to imbibe and emulate and also exercise, which is what I do on a daily basis. Vis-a-vis relationships in the movie industry, I think he was always a very popular man.